Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtapraishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishne Swadhamo Bhagate Dhanamajnanadibhis saha Kalau Nashtadrishamesha Puranarko Dhunoditaha. This is Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, and today we'll be discussing text number 41. If someone could kindly give me the mouse with a cord that's in that bag, then I will be able to access the text myself. Thank you. I got it. Atha Atho Yathavat Na Vitarka Gocharam Chetah Manah Karma Vachobhi Anjasa Yad Ashrayam Yena Yataha Pratiyate Sudurvibhavyam Pranata Asmi Tatpadam Atho Yathavanna Vitarka Gocharam Cheto Manah Karma Vachobhiranjasa Yad Ashrayam Yena Yatah Pratiyate Sudurvibhavyam Pranatasmi Tatpadam Atho Yathavanna Vitarka Gocharam Cheto Manah Karma Vachobhiranjasa Yad Ashrayam Yena Yatah Pratiyate Sudurvibhavyam Pranatasmi Tatpadam Atho Yathavanna Vitarka Gocharam Cheto Manah Karma Vachobhiranjasa Yad Ashrayam Yena Yatah Pratiyate Sudurvibhavyam Pranatasmi Tatpadam Yatho Yathavanna Vitarka Gocharam Cheto Manah Karma Vachobhiranjasa Yad Ashrayam Yena Yatah Pratiyate Sudurvibhavyam Pranatasmi Tatpadam Atho Yathavanna Vitarka Gocharam Cheto mana karma vachobhiranjasa yad ashrayam yena yata pratiyate sudura vibhavyam pranatasmi tatpadam atho yathavanna vitarka gocharam cheto mana karma vachobhiranjasa yad ashriyam yena yatha pratiyate sudura vibhavyam pranatasmi tatpadam. Mataji. Atho yatavanna viktarka gocharam cheto manah karma vachobhiranjasa yadashriyam yena yata pratiyate sudura vibhavyam pranatasmi tatpadam atho yatavanna vitarka gocharam cheto manah karma vachobhiranjasa yadashriyam yena yata pratiyate sudurva bhavyam pranatasmi tatpadam atho. Therefore, she decided to surrender unto the Supreme Lord, yathavat, as perfectly as one can perceive, na, not, vitarka gocharam, beyond all arguments, reason, and sense perception, chetaha, by consciousness, manaha, by mind, karma, by activities, vachobhi, or by words, anjasa, taking all of them together. We cannot understand them. Yat ashrayam, under whose control, yena, by whom, yataha, from whom, pratiyate, can be conceived, only that from, is this right? Can be conceived only that from him everything emanates. Okay, let's try this again. Can be conceived only that from him everything emanates. Sudurvibhavyam, beyond our sense perception or consciousness. Pranata, asmi, let me surrender. Tatpadam, at his lotus feet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, savior of the modern world, our Lord and Master, His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, let me surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer my obeisances unto Him who is beyond the conception of human speculation, the mind, activities, words, and arguments, who is the original cause of this cosmic manifestation, by whom the entire cosmos is maintained, and by whom we can conceive of its existence. Let me simply offer my obeisances, for He is beyond my contemplation, speculation, and meditation. He is beyond all of my material activities. Finally repeat. Therefore, let me surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer my obeisances unto him, who is beyond the conception of human speculation, the mind, activities, words, and arguments, who is the original cause of this cosmic manifestation, by whom the entire cosmos is maintained, and by whom we can conceive of its existence. Let me simply offer my obeisances, for he is beyond my contemplation, speculation, and meditation. He is beyond all of my material activities. Purport. One simply has to realize the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not try to understand him by any material means, subtle or gross. Mother Yashoda, being a simple woman, could not find out the real cause of the vision. Therefore, out of maternal affection, she simply offered obeisances unto the Supreme Lord to protect her child. She could do nothing but offer obeisances to the Lord. It is said, Achintya khalu ye bhava natan starkena yojayet. That's from Mahabharata Bhishma Partava, chapter 5, text 22. One should not try to understand the supreme cause by argument or reasoning. When we are beset by some problem for which we can find no reason, there is no alternative than to surrender to the Supreme Lord and offer him our respectful obeisances. Then our position will be secure. This was the means adopted in this instance also by Mother Yashoda. Whatever happens, the original cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarva karana karanam. That's from Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, text 1. When the immediate cause cannot be ascertained, let us simply offer our obeisances at the lotus feet of the Lord. Mother Yashoda concluded that the wonderful things she saw within the mouth of her child were due to him, although she could not clearly ascertain the cause. Therefore, when a devotee cannot ascertain the cause of suffering, he concludes, Tattenu kampam susumikshamano bhunjana evatmakritam vipakam Ridvagvapurabhiravidadhannamaste jivetayo muktipade sadaya bhak. The devotee accepts that it is due to his own past misdeeds that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has caused him some small amount of suffering. Thus he offers obeisances unto the Lord again and again. Such a devotee is called muktipade sadaya bhak. That is, he is guaranteed his liberation from this material world. As stated in the Bhagavad-gita, chapter 2, text 14, Matras parashastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agamapayino nityas tanstitikshasva bharata. We should know that material suffering due to the material body will come and go. Therefore, we must tolerate the suffering and proceed with discharging our duty as ordained by our spiritual master. Om Ajnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantigam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Lakshmi Nivasa Madhusudana Madhavatvam Deva Prasida Mama Buddhi Bharam Dadasva Yasmadaham Kila Vibho Tava Balakelim Samvarnaye Chasatatam Pranipata Purvam. Srila Bilvamangala Thakur says, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, resort of the Goddess of Fortune Lakshmi, killer of the Madhu demon, O Madhava, please be kind and always give me intelligence in full capacity in order to glorify your childhood pastimes after I have bowed down at your lotus feet. That's what we're doing this morning. We've heard already that Sri Yashoda Devi has become confused by seeing all these things within the mouth of her son. What did she see? She saw all the planets and all the sky and the earth and the mountains, rivers. She saw the subtle things that cannot be seen, such as karma and desire that impels karma, and the different kinds of bodies that karma produces, and the false ego, and so many things, gross and subtle. She saw them. And she saw them in the mouth of her own infant child. How old is Krishna at this point? They're still in Gokula. He's too young. This cannot be happening. And so she couldn't figure out, what is this? Yesterday, or in the last couple of days we've been hearing, she thought she had 4 theories. One, it's a dream. That's been canceled out because I'm wide awake. Touching things, it's no dream. This is really happening. And what was the next thing? Maybe it's Daiva Maya, some special illusion created by the demigods, but why would they bother me? I'm just an ordinary cowherd woman. What's next? She thought, Mama Buddhi Mohitam. My intelligence has been deranged somehow or other. But I'm thinking in clear order. I'm not having any problem in any other sphere, only this thing. What's the other option? There must be some special Autpatika Atma Yoga in my child. Some innate spiritual power, perhaps, that she doesn't really know. So our Acharya is commenting on today's verse. They have said different things also, so it's maybe not clear even to us if we read them, that what is she experiencing here. But one thing we know, which is always the truth, Srila Prabhupada says here, a few different ways he says it, we just have to offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, who is in control of all these things. So, he says here, when we are beset by some problem for which we can find no reason, there is no alternative than to surrender to the Supreme Lord and offer him our respectful obeisances. Just like doctors. Doctors can't figure out what's wrong. Right? How many doctors you see, everything's fine. But it's not fine. So, what can we do? We have to just offer our respectful obeisances unto the Lord. All right, so charamam paksham ashrityayam ishvara iti nishchityaha. That much she has concluded. That the final position is to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. That is the ultimate conclusion. Here, consciousness means chitta, thought. Chitta means a few things, depending on who you ask. It can also mean the subtle body, according to the yogis, and different things. But the point here is that chittadibhir navitarka gocharam. You have very clear intelligence, you have deep insight, you have a pacified mind, all these things that have been mentioned here, and knowledge as well, but you still can't understand the Supreme Lord because he's vitarka gocharam. He's not within, navitarka gocharam. He's not within your grasp of reason. And what else does he say? The universe is under his control, yad ashrayam. That means he is the locus by which the superintendents of the senses are able to function. The demigods controlling our senses. How do we even use our minds unless the demigod who is in charge of that is doing his duty properly, right? So, from whom the intelligence and engagements are manifest in the first place, it's the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one may wonder here, Sridhar Swami raises the doubt that if this Supreme Lord is beyond all comprehension. Now keep in mind, Sridhar Swami, according to most opinions, he's a member of the Shankar Sampradaya in Kashi. So he should be thinking in terms of, the Mayavadis, they seem to be fine with all this, neti avitarkya gocharam stuff. But he seems to have a problem. So he raises the question here that nanoidam avitarkyam bhavato tatparam kidrigata aha sudurvibhavyameti. What kind of absolute truth is this? If you can't even think about it, what's the point? So therefore, it's said here, sudurvibhavyam. Sudurvibhavyam, Srila Prabhupada translates here as beyond our sense, perception, or consciousness. That pretty much covers all of it, doesn't it? We have two non-devotional options. One is karma, and the other one is jnana. If you're going to do karma, you have to have senses that are in good working order to do that. And if you want to do jnana instead, it's understood that you will not be able to do anything. Jnana is by definition hypothetical. That's why you can't apply that philosophy ultimately. So either way, the Lord is in charge of these things, and you cannot figure out what's going on. Sudurvibhavyam. So, this means it is most inconceivable. Idam atyantam achintyam iti arthaha, he says. And that brings us back to where we always are coming back to whenever we're trying to think or imagine about the Supreme Lord. It's achintya. Achintya, particularly achintya bheda abheda. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's most comprehensive and mature synthesis of all Vedanta speculations. Some people are saying it's, there's only duality, a few miles from here in Udupi. Other people are saying, though there's duality, but it's qualified duality. That's Ramanuja's position. Other people are saying there's duality and non-duality simultaneously, but they can't explain how that's possible. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the mature synthesis of all these ideas. It is duality and duality for sure, but this thing is inconceivable by mundane logic. So Sridhar Swami has raised a question. What are we supposed to do about this? And he doesn't answer that question. But Sanatana Goswami expresses his opinion on this. He says, taking shelter of... He has his own view of this, actually. And I told you already, the different acharyas have different views of this. Sanatana Goswami feels that the last option which Yashoda mentioned in yesterday's verse, that he has some special Atma Yoga that allows him to do these inconceivable things. He says, taking shelter of that option, Yashoda determined that he was God. Giving up the conception of Krishna as her son, she offered respects with devotion. She speaks of his greatness, considering his desire and potency on seeing directly, suddenly, altogether, the universe with all its cause and effects within his mouth. not an ordinary occurrence. Or he gives another option. Considering all these possibilities, she could not decide and became confused. I think that's the majority opinion. And then she offered obeisances to whom? She doesn't say in this verse. Yadashrayam tadpadam. Pada. Srila Prabhupada is very intelligently translated. Pada means? Pada pada. What does it mean? Padma pada. What does it mean? Lotus feet. Pada also means a position, a status, or a situation. Padama padam. So it's not really clear from the text, but Srila Prabhupada makes it clear in his translation. This is his preference, our preference as well. But we're not quite there yet, because she's just offering respectful obeisances unto whom? Unto Narayana. Generic Bhagavan. When people don't know that Bhagavan is Gokuladhish, Nandanandan, Yashodananda, then they understand he's some abstract entity called Narayan, or maybe four-handed Narayan. The Brajavasis are not too interested in this Narayan. Anyway, Sanatana Goswami continues, the Lord is not understood by logic, by the mind, by the results of karma, by austerity, nor by physical actions. Again, this pretty much cancels out everything with which we are familiar. So we have no facility to understand this. And what should we conclude from this? He says, but he is easily realized in truth by what? Yena, he's interpreting the word yena here in this verse. Yena sadhanena, by that practice of pure devotional service. Because of him. By his mercy, in other words. It comes from him, it doesn't come from us. If he wants to reveal himself to us, he can do that. By his achintya shakti, that confounds us. By that same shakti, he can reveal himself to us. Swayameva spurati. If we are sincerely engaged in devotional service, and no one is in a better condition or position to judge that except the person who knows everything, the person who's controlling everything. He knows where we stand. You cannot fool him. He knows everything. And when he's happy, once a devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, how do we know when Krishna is pleased with our service? You know what Srila Prabhupada told him? When he tells you. But he knows. And Sanatana Goswami is not quite being explicit about this, but it's pointing in that direction. So I offer respects unto his lotus feet, which are more inconceivable than this universe because of being simultaneously visible and invisible, with qualities and without qualities. This brings us back to the point that Sridhar Swami left off, Achintya Bheda Bheda Shakti. All right, Jiva Goswami goes on. He says, it was not possible that her son had remarkable powers because she saw that he gets hungry, he gets thirsty, he has a tender body like any normal child, and we heard the other day, he finds a sacred place in the house and he goes and pees there. So how are we to conclude that this is the supreme Mahanarayan of Vaikuntha, or the supreme Brahma that others cannot even define? This is not my son. I know him. He's not like this. He's just a baby. And this is a conflict within her mind. On one hand, according to Sanatana Goswami, she's coming to realize, oh my God, I'm dealing with God here. And Jiva Goswami won't have it. He says, no, it's not possible, because for her, in her conceit, she feels that, no, I'm feeding this boy. Without me, he doesn't get anything. And, I'm cleaning up his, what, and, all these things. God is not like this. He's an ordinary child. But she was not able to determine the truth by speculation, so she decided that the cause of her vision was whom? Sri Narayana. Sri Narayana. That means Lakshmi Narayana. In other words, personal. When we speak of lotus feet, like we said, Tatpada, those feet are attached to a person, right? It's not that we just have a set of feet, encased in a glass case and we venerate. No, those feet belong to it. Feet means there's a person. Who owns those feet? So she understands this person is Narayana. In the spiritual world, in Goloka, in the Lila, and even in Gokula, Lila as well, when the Vrajavasis worship God, they're not worshiping this boy, Krishna. They have no idea that he's God. Even Krishna himself sometimes forgets that he's God. By the potency of their strong love, he becomes so intoxicated, he can't even remember his own position. It's not Mahamaya, but it's there is in the spiritual world there must be some Maya that operates in such a way that all the devotees who are pure are still bewildered. That's why he is avitarkya gocharam, or sudurvibhavyam. Only he understands his position, and sometimes even he doesn't understand it if he becomes too ecstatic. Dinabandhu Prabhu in Vrindavan, we should all pray for him. He's very sick right now. He had some ear infection, but it developed into some severe, it spread throughout his body. Now he has Bell's palsy. What is Bell's palsy? Some part of your face becomes, or some part of your body becomes paralyzed. Dinabandhu Prabhu, great. We cannot imagine Vrindavan without Dinabandhu. So please say some prayers for him. About a month ago, he took me to a place I'd never been before, and which most of you probably have never heard of either. Chamelivan. Did I tell you about this already? I don't remember. Chamelivan. A place where chameli flowers are growing. What do you call chameli in Tamil? I don't know. Maybe some kind of jasmine flower. A very remote place. So remote that we saw Nilgai there. In Vrindavan, you can hardly find a blue cow. That also, I don't know if you have them in Tamil Nadu. Nilgai, do you have? I don't know. They're not exactly cows. They kind of look something in between a cow and a donkey or something. Very strange. Though they're going in that place, that's how remote it is, because they're very reclusive. They don't like people. They don't go where anything's happening. And nobody lives out there. It's a dense forest, very secluded place. Therefore, Krishna went to this place to have his pastimes, with the gopis in particular. Now, we've heard a few verses previous. Mother Yashoda is described as Hitaishini. She's always in anxiety for the welfare of her son. In fact, Srila Prabhupada saw fit to mention in his own purport to today's verse that the reason that she took shelter and offered obeisances to Lord Narayan is, who caught it? Anybody remember? Why was she offering her respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord? What was her motive? To protect her child. Her love is so strong. So all day she's waiting for him to come back. Sometimes she can't wait. Bilva Mangala Thakur has described this in another verse. He says, what is it? Kandu krida vigalata gana sweda mugdhanara shri kaishchit drishtaha kuvalaya dalopi shamala kopi balaha prichhati evam pati pati yayao vyakulananda patni tire tire tapana duhitoho krishnam andeshayanti. She goes up and down the bank of the Yamuna. She's asking anybody and everyone she sees, have you seen a boy who is so beautiful that he looks like the petals of a blue lotus, but there are little diamond drops of water like on his face? Sweda, Mugdhanana Shri. Sweda. Perspiration. Why perspiration? Because Kandu Krida. He's playing ball with his friends, so he exerts himself. This is why she can't believe that he's Bhagavan. Would we ever hear of Bhagavan sweating? Well, we do actually. But that's a whole cosmic affair. So, anyway, she's walking up and down the banks of the Yamuna in an agitated state, Vyakula Nandapatni. And she's asking whoever she encounters, have you seen such a boy? Prichati evam patipati yayau vyakuladnanda patni tire tire tapanatu hituhu Krishna mandesha yanti. So, one day in one of her wanderings in this way, she came to Chanelivan, and you already can guess what's going to happen. It was on a day that Krishna happened to be there, surrounded by so many girls, young girls. And she saw this, and she thought, is that my son? How can it be so? So she immediately started chasing to go and see, who is this? And Krishna, quick as a bullet, he shot through the forest, faster than anything you can imagine. Manojavam. And he jumped into the nearby lake that was there and disappeared. Meanwhile, Mother Yashoda came out the same lake. She looks, she can't see anyone. Underneath the water, Krishna turned into Hanuman. And then he came out of the water. Do you know about this one? I never saw this place either. Dinabandhu only told me. I don't know where he gets it from. Janashruti say, Lok kaha jata hai ki. This is the Brajavasis say this. This is ancient, you can call it maybe Aitihim. So, she sees Hanuman come out of the water. And she's astonished. She was already astonished. Now she's even more astonished. Just like she was astonished that all Krishna's friends, even Balaram, said he ate dirt. And then she looked to check and see, and then she got even more astonished. This is the nature of Krishna's Leela. How can it be anything but sudurvibhavyam, avitarkya gocharam? It is inconsistent. How does he figure out these things, what to do, Krishna? Because he has natasya karyam karanam shavidyate. He has got nothing else to do than dream up so many ways to confuse and delight and harass his devotees. That's what he does. He enjoys. Get used to it. It continues forever and ever and ever. Yasmat sokyam brahm, what is that? Brahma sokyam tu anantam. It's an infinite bliss in the spiritual world. So she's astonished to see Hanuman. She offers obeisances, Anjaneya. Manojavam marudatulya vegam jitendriyam buddhimatam varishtam. Everybody know this one? Very famous. So, she's offering obeisances and Hanuman is giving blessings. And she offers prayers to Hanuman. She just saw her son doing abominable things in the forest with these girls. And now she's offering puja. And she has no idea who it is. He's deep fake Hanuman. So, there's a temple there now, Sitaram temple, and the same Hanuman is there. If you want, I can share with you a picture of this Hanuman. He's not really Hanuman, but he's, you know who. Anyway, how do we get on this topic now? I don't even remember. Anyway, these leelas are going on in Golok Vrindavan, but at the moment, Yashoda Mata has no understanding of this. All she knows is that Narayan cannot be understood by consciousness, by mind, by good karma, by physical actions. Only by pure devotional service can he be understood, and even then, she can't understand that he's not Hanuman. He still can't be understood, even by his devotees, not fully at least. But if anybody can understand him fully, it is the devotees. This is the point. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavinishchasmi tattvataha. As usual, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur expands upon all the predecessor acharyas. Now, he comes out and says what Jiva Goswami has only implied. He comes out and makes it explicit. Yashoda rejected the final reason after seeing her son's hunger, thirst, naughtiness, and innocence. Not finding any real cause for her vision, Yashoda simply offered respects to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, who is the ultimate cause of all things beyond our comprehension, and prayed for his protection. I've noticed that Srila Prabhupada very, very often, is it not, follows Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his conclusions, because he's also the most, he has the most to say. The commentaries in Sanskrit, over time, you see they just get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Longer and longer. Why do you think that is? Because we become more and more stupid, and we require more to be. As Kali Yuga progresses, it would seem that way. I mean, everybody knows from experience, this is called pratyaksha praman. Each generation is a little bit less than their mothers and fathers, is it not? When we think of what our mothers and fathers have done and, what we're doing, it's nothing. So this is how time wears everything down. That's why this world is called Kshaya, but Krishna is beyond that Kshaya. Kshaya means decay or degradation. Okay, so she's thinking, the Supreme Lord is the shelter of the visible universe, yad ashrayam. He creates the universe. It comes from him, in other words, yataha. We're glossing all the words in the verse itself. And he's the visible cause of the universe, yena. It's by him that this thing is coming about, and by him that we can see it as well. But he can't be understood by persons like me, sudurvibhavya. She's thinking she is an ordinary conditioned soul. If you look through the Bhagavatam, at least what I'm noticing is that all the pure devotees are thinking in the same way, that they're just ordinary conditioned souls suffering under the tyranny of karma. That's what they think. Only the idiots think that we're Krishna conscious and we're above all this. Something to note. So let me simply offer my respects unto his lotus feet, tat padam. Again, Srila Prabhupada has incorporated this in his purport. With my mind, intelligence, actions, and words. So these things are not useless. Although you cannot understand the Supreme Lord by your mind, by your intelligence, by your actions, or by your words, but you can use those things in his devotional service. And when he's happy by that devotional service, he will reveal himself to you. I don't know how that Leela and Chamelivan eventually worked out. It would be interesting what happened. But Hanuman gave Mother Yashoda the blessings. Yeah, you will find your son, definitely. He's almost as if, he's as good as found already. This is the Supreme Lord, how he plays with his devotees. The same minds and intelligence that cannot possibly understand him, he likes to just play around with them and bewilder us and confuse us for his own amusement. And we have to eat that. Even if, whether you're in this world or in that world, it doesn't make any difference. You've got to eat the results of your own activities. Bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam. Srila Prabhupada originally donated this verse to his purport. It's not there in the predecessor commentaries. Why? Because if you're looking at bad karma or whatever karma, you have to accept it. You have no choice. And if it is a matter of Krishna doing something to you as well, you still have no choice. Therefore, Srimati Radharani says, Ashlishya va pararatam pinashtomama darshanat maramahatam karotu va yatha tatha va viridhatu lampato mat prananatas sa eva naparaha. Underline the final. Mat prananatas sa eva naparaha. This is ultimately the position. And sometimes Krishna can be a little hard with us and put us into a lot of anxiety. We have already mentioned, Mother Yashoda is always in anxiety. That is the position she embraces eternally. Are you ready for that? Most of us join Krishna consciousness to be free from anxiety. We say, be free from miseries, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But that's not what we see, is it? In the spiritual world. Gopakumar, when he went back to Godhead, he couldn't understand. Are these people experiencing the most profound ecstasy, or are they in the deepest agony that I cannot even imagine? He couldn't tell. Because they are one and the same in the spiritual world. So, Mother Yashoda Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur concludes, may he please remove all disturbances from whom? from my child. She's not even thinking of herself. That's how you get to be in that position. She's not even thinking of her. I'm so confused, please enlighten me, right? She's not even asking like that. Whatever's going on, dear Lord, please make everything okay for Krishna. This is love, motherly love. All right, so these are a few things. I'm just going to read Prabhupada's translation again and provide you the glosses that are in this text. Therefore, let me surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer my obeisances unto Him who is beyond the conception of human speculation, the mind, activities, words, and arguments. That's called Durvibhavyam. Who is the original cause of this cosmic manifestation? Yet Ashriyam, by whom the entire cosmos is maintained, Yena, and by whom we can understand its existence, Yataha. Let me simply offer my obeisances, for He is beyond my contemplation, speculation, and meditation. That has to do with chitta or cheta. He's beyond all my material activities. So we'll hear tomorrow more of her ruminations on this, what she's thinking about the Supreme Lord and His Maya and what her position is. I don't want to spoil the plot, so we should stop now. Does anyone have any questions or any comments?
Hare Krishna. So we spent a lot of time on the talking about the pastimes of the devotees and the Leelas in Vrindavan and Mother Yasoda's sentiments, etc. But as aspiring devotees, it may not be something that which we can really understand or grasp. Perhaps we shouldn't. The tendency may be to become sahaja-like, to think that we can understand these very deep spiritual emotions. And I think I have a question in this, and that is that Srila Prabhupada said that we don't actually worship Radha and Krishna, we worship Lakshmi Narayan.
Yes.
So I just wondered if you could just elaborate on that and explain some of that to devotees, and also just to avert any tendency towards minimizing the actual process of devotion, of bhakti, and the worship of Lakshmi Narayan. Why Prabhupada mentioned that.
Good point, good question. Why do we find so many statements like this, that these things are incomprehensible even by all the facilities that we have at our command? We think they're at our command. They're not actually at our command. We mentioned already they're under the command of the demigods who are administering our karma, which regulates how much we can and can't derive benefit from our facilities, from our assets, including subtle ones: mind, intelligence, actions, words. The Lord and He's beyond all these things. So that's why we're reminded again and again of that fact. But also, you mentioned a very important point, that in our present adhikar, which is nascent bhakti, or just maybe probate bhakti, I like to call it. We're actually criminals, but we're under probation, and we have the sponsorship of the spiritual master, and therefore our devotional service is accepted. But in our present adhikar, most of us are actually demons, just trying to chant Hare Krishna. Demons who happen to chant Hare Krishna. I said in Vrindavan recently, monsters who chant Hare Krishna. But if we can please a bona fide spiritual master, then we may get some insight someday. But we always have to remember, and a bona fide spiritual master will always remind us, for that reason, that we're not really there yet. We're not there yet. And but still, the idea is that if we take our mind and our intelligence and our actions and our words and try to absorb them in the Supreme Lord, as per the descriptions given to us for that purpose here in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, then gradually our amnesia is cured, and we will eventually become Krishna conscious. But we definitely should recognize and follow in the footsteps of these what we call ragatmika devotees in terms of their conception of themselves, that they're ordinary conditioned souls. If they can do that, why can't we do that? This is the point. And therefore everything should be done vidhivat, yatha vidhi, by the rules and regulations for the ordinary sadhakas. And the generic default rasa for a practicing devotee, such a sadhaka, is dasya rasa. Let us first and foremost understand what does it mean to be a servant. And in particular, what does it mean to be a servant of the bona fide spiritual master? There's a reason that Srila Prabhupada is quoting these verses that he quotes in his purport. Tateno kampam susamikshimano, because you have to tolerate so many things. And matra sparshastu kaunteya is the same principle. But what is the question of toleration? It comes about when we try to render service. Then all kinds of obstacles will come our way. And we have to tolerate that. We have to proceed with discharging our duty as ordained by our spiritual master. This is the point that Prabhupada concludes with. That's a direct quote. Therefore, we must tolerate the suffering and proceed with discharging our duty as ordained by our spiritual master. That means we have to learn how to become a servant of the bona fide spiritual master before we're ever going to understand Radha Dasyam. But the Dasyam is there, always, even in the highest stage of Madhurya Rasa. If someone is so fortunate to become a Manjari assisting the Sakhis and Srimati Radharani herself for that matter, then it should be understood that it is on the basis of Dasya Rasa, which we are just now learning. Remember, we're demons who chant Hare Krishna. We have to learn what it means to serve. If you learn how to serve a bona fide spiritual master, then you can understand you can get a glimpse at least, what is real love. And then on that basis, we can slowly, gradually, as per Brahma Samhita's conclusion, make advancement towards these very high ideals. Seen in terms of sadhana bhakti, we should learn from these ragatmikas, how to adopt that more humble than a blade of grass mentality, that we're just ordinary conditioned souls. And then when we actually have fully embraced that principle first and foremost, then maybe we can try to emulate their service in terms of rag bhakti as well. This is the idea.
Thank you. Very nice.
Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay. Anyone else? Panditji, you want to comment something? Anything? Gokul? This is why the Vidhi, if you look in Hari Bhakti Vilas, there is no provision for worshipping Radha Krishna, isn't it? It's not there. Just, everything is, all the rules and regulations of deity worship are given for Lakshmi Narayana. Because, in effect, that's whom we're trying to approach. Lakshmi Narayana will accept our service if it's under the sponsorship of a bona fide guru. And then they reveal that, we're not really Lakshmi Narayan. You can go deeper than that. So here we're going to have, we hope we will see one day, Sri Gaura Radha Gokulananda. And by rendering service in this generic Dasya Bhava, according to the vidhis of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, then hote, as we say in Hindi, gradually we can come to the stage of understanding, well, who is this Gokulananda? Who is Srimati Radharani? How is Gauranga related to them? And what does that mean for myself here and now in this world and for the people of the world? Gauranga is essential. Audorya Bhav is essential. Sankirtan is essential. We have Matsya Prabhu here from Krishna Life and other devotees, Vishnu Chitta. They're doing very, very serious Sankirtan in the United States, and they will get the blessings of, they already have the blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Guru and Gauranga. We should be very respectful of these devotees. Okay.
Because they're distributing books and they're pleasing Srila Prabhupada, they'll experience the highest pleasure.
Yeah, this is the path of perfection. Okay, so we should stop now. It's time for prasadam. All glories to Srila